Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. If you are new here, hey, my name is Brittany and I talk all things beauty here on my channel. And for today's video, I have been getting a few requests to do this where I pick my top 10 eyeshadow palettes in my collection. So if whatever reason, if something happened and I could only pick 10 palettes, these are the 10 that I would keep in my collection. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you like eyeshadow palette videos, rankings, that type of stuff, then please subscribe to my channel. And let's jump into it because this was not easy, man. I have been procrastinating and putting this off for so long because it was not, I'm telling you, it was kind of difficult. When it comes down to it, whenever I'm looking at all my eyeshadow palettes, it's only keep 10. Goodness gracious. Okay, so these are the 10 that I decided to keep in my collection. I think that some of y'all are honestly going to be very surprised. So let's just jump into it. This is not a ranking. Don't make me rank them, please. It's already harder to keep 10. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of just dive in here and pull. Okay, so let's start off with what palette I have on my eyes today, and that is from Huda Beauty. This is the Rose Quartz palette. I did not get this when it launched. I actually got this a year after during the Black Friday sale because I was this lit. This palette was always on my wish list, and I'm so glad that I ended up picking it up because it is just so beautiful. If you like neutral tones but you want to play with a little bit of color, some soft purples and pinks with some fun shimmers, I think this is perfect for a neutral lover but you want to dip your toes into some color. Or if you love purples and taupes and soft pinks, this is just going to be your perfect color story. So I honestly adore this, and I think it works really well on fair skin. It just adds the perfect tone without making it too bold. But there's just something so magical about these shimmers. Are very shifty, sparkly, shiny. I really do love them, and I like the mix of tones, how you can go pink, you can go purple, you can even kind of warm it up here. So overall, this palette really surprised me, and this is my only Huda palette that I actually kept in my collection. It's so special, and not to mention this packaging, I could not let this palette go. I just couldn't do it. Okay, so next, you might see a little bit of purple tones in here. This one from Cosmic Brushes. This one I've had a little while, but it has quickly risen to be obviously one of my favorites in my collection. This is the Muse palette, and I think I said this was from Cosmic Brushes. This is what the palette looks like. Are you kidding me? It's so beautiful. Once again, you have this soft rosy tones. You can add some purple. I really do enjoy wearing green eyeshadow, so I would still have those really pretty fun pops of green. I adore this shade right here because it can add a little bit of a grunginess to it or just brighten it up. So overall, this palette is incredible. I love the shimmers in here. It's like a high-end formula at a drugstore price. I'm telling you, if you haven't tried Cosmic Brushes and you are looking for a new palette with a high-end formula at a drugstore price, this is definitely a good brand to look into because I believe they have 3 palettes, so maybe one of those color stories would spark an interest because wow, the formula is incredible. That one really surprised me. I understand the hype. It's whenever products are overhyped, I'm just how good could it possibly be? But no, that palette is definitely hyped for good reason. Next, y'all know I had to keep Pat McGrath palette, and from Pat McGrath I decided I really wanted to look at the Pat McGrath collection that I currently have and see which one palette I just could not live without, and I picked this one. This is a Bronze Seduction. Look at this packaging. Honestly, I thought it would be a Utopian Dream, but this actually ended up becoming the one that I just couldn't let go of. So this is what the inside looks like, and there's just something about this palette that it just makes every look just so elevated. The shimmers in here, these right here, can just really elevate any look, and it just if I'm wearing this, I'm gonna get a compliment. It is so, someone's always what is on your eyes? So I love these mattes in here. They're perfect for every day. I love, a purple. But yeah, I love the tones, and I also will reach into this if I just need a very a gold or a taupe. Nothing fancy, or you can really dress it up with these shimmers. This palette, it's just if I want a really nice date night palette that's gonna make a statement, I want people to notice my eyeshadow, I'm gonna go with this one. And every time I wear this, my husband, every time he compliments me. So he's not one to take the time to oh, your eyeshadow's pretty. So for him to make that little comment, I'm okay, this one definitely you know, is a staple for my collection. So I just could not part ways with this one. I really do enjoy it. Next, I want to switch it up and go a little bit more indie. This is from Glaminatrix. This is the Nearly a Natural palette, and disclaimer, obviously you can tell I like very basic makeup with some fun pops of color, so this one had to be in here. It's just so perfect for every day, and I love the different tones in here. It's like a neutral palette, but like with some fun pops. Like I love the different undertones, so you get these really pretty greens. You could go pink, you could do like this silver, where is it, like this silver, some bronzy tones, mauvey tones. Even though it looks like a basic palette, like, oh, I don't need that. Honestly, I reach for this so often because of all the different tones in here, and the mattes are so easy, pigmented, blendable, but like you can work with it, like you can build it up. It's not too much, where I find like Pat McGrath, sometimes her mattes intimidate me because they're so pigmented, whereas, you know, these, they're very easy to work with. And the shimmers, they just are so pigmented and sparkly, but yet flattering on the eyes. I don't get fallout because like with Pat McGrath, those Astral Blitz, they tend to like fall on my face. I just know if I need a beautiful natural makeup look, that this like will never do me dirty. Next, I'm going to talk about two Adept cosmetic palettes, and I'm sure you could already guess the first one. This is the Heather Awesome palette, and sadly they're going to discontinue this. I had to talk myself out of buying a backup because I love this palette so much. I was like, I'm not going to buy a backup, but like I wanted to, but like I need to stop. So I don't know if this is still available anymore, but I know that they were running low on stock, but this, man, guys, I've had this palette, I think, yeah, for a complete year or more. I think it came out in March of last year, maybe. But this palette, it's just like my perfect palette. I can make it a little neutral with Atlas and some of these purples, or I can reach into like some of these more like colorful tones like this green and this purple to really amp it up with these fun, very shifty shimmer shades. This palette just never does me wrong. Like, these shimmers are just incredible. Obviously, it's a very well-loved palette, and I'll be sad every time I hit pan in one of these shades. I'm like, no, not another pan. But it's just one of my most used palettes in my collection. It's my favorite in my collection, but it's also my most used. Next, from Adept, this is the Arrow inspired palette. This is actually discontinued, which was so surprising because I know that the brand owner, it was like her goal when she had a cosmetic company to come out with the Arrow palette. So I just think it's so crazy that it's already discontinued, but I needed a fun, colorful palette because I have lots of neutrals in here. So this was the palette that I wanted to just have like the fun shimmers, you know, all of that good stuff with the blues and the greens and some of these fun shades over here. But down here, these are some beautiful grungy tones, and this is like exactly what I needed. If I could only keep 10 palettes and I needed a very beautiful, fun color story, this is the one that I had to have. So definitely a well-loved palette in my collection. I don't use it all the time, but when I do, I'm just like, wow, it's one of my favorites. And I want to throw a curveball and really surprise y'all because you're going to be like, I did not see that coming. Okay, the Too Faced Sweet Peach, guys. I used to have this palette, and it was like my most favorite in my collection. I used it, and then my daughter wanted it, and I gave it to her because I have so many palettes, and I was kind of like burnt out on it. So she's still loving it. And then this recently was on sale for $20. I picked it up again. I love it so much. If I just need a beautiful matte with like a satin shade, this is what I go to on a daily basis. I don't want like a whole bunch of sparkle, shifty shadows. I just want something very subtle. This is a very like work friendly palette. You can wear any palette, but I'm just saying for a shimmer to not like pick up your texture on your lids or anything like that, these like soft satins are amazing. So it's just so funny that over all these years, I still reach for this palette. I still come back to this palette. Heck, I even purchased it again. So definitely a curveball for y'all, I'm sure, because you probably would have never guessed that this palette would be in my collection, but I recently repurchased it and I still love it. I'm a sucker for neutrals with some peaches and like this green. What can I say? I'm very predictable. Next, I was so torn. I did not know which palette to pick. The Makeup by Mario or my NARS palette. So which one came out? I picked the NARS palette because this Makeup by Mario palette pinches me almost every time I open it. So I'm just like, ow, see, it did it again. I'm a little bitter about this palette. I have to be very careful when I open it. I love this palette, but if I could only keep 10, it's not going to stay because it pinches me. That's probably user error. Anyways, this NARS palette came out over the Makeup by Mario because this just has a little bit more versatility and I can make this palette go a little bit deeper. But honestly, I love how you can get like champagne, gold, pinks, some bronzy tones in here. So this one initially just, it just won over the Makeup by Mario. And I reach for this every single day because I pop into this shade for my brow to just kind of like give me a little bit of something. So I like this palette. It was expensive, so I definitely want to keep it, and I'm still loving it. I don't think this is available anymore, but honestly, a lot of these palettes are discontinued. But I wanted to be real and honest and show you what I would be keeping. I didn't want to just keep palettes in my collection that were still available because I would be lying, because some of these discontinued palettes are still my favorite, and I reach for them all the time. So this one came out on top. I just love it. Perfect. I know I'm predictable. What can I say? Sorry if I'm breathing heavy. I'm 33 weeks pregnant today, and it's like getting difficult to film because I'm so out of breath. But so I'm sorry if that's bothering you. I'm really trying to like pause and like take some deep breaths. Okay, anyways, from Natasha Denona, I have the infamous gold palette. It's discontinued. Why? Everybody, tell Natasha Denona to come out with a midi size. Like, she's got to, right? Everyone loves it. Anyways, y'all have seen this palette a million times, so I'm showing you 1,000,001. I love this palette. This is just so beautiful. I still use it, love it, adore it. This is like my holiday palette. I normally wear this like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. I also wear this like throughout the year, but I just wanted to note that this is a very holiday-esque palette because of some of these beautiful sparkly shades in here. It's a beautiful neutral palette with some fun pops over here, and I love the quality, and it's just so special to me. So yeah, it's got to stay in my collection. I don't care how old it gets, it will be in my collection. Last but certainly not least, this is the most expensive palette I have in my collection, and it pains me, so she's staying. So this is the Metropolis palette. I think this one's discontinued too. Good lord, almost all my palettes are discontinued. I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize how many until like I started talking. Anyways, this is a Metropolis, and this is like, I would say, the most beautiful like earthy toned palette that I have in my collection. Just like some of these warm clay tones, and let's see, like the greens with some of the blues. It's a beautiful warm tone lover's dream when it comes to like the color story, but also the formulation is one of the best Natasha palettes I have in my collection. But this is definitely like, it's so overpriced. Like I shouldn't have bought it, but I did because it was gone for years, and finally she brought it back, and without like hesitation I purchased it because I was like insanely excited about it. So definitely, I love this palette. It's very expensive. I would love to see her do a midi size at a more affordable price. But yeah, out of all the palettes I have in my collection, this is by far the most expensive. And typically I buy palettes on sale. Like, I have never paid a full price palette for like Pat McGrath, like her motherships. No, but this one I paid full price. But I was looking at my collection and I'm like, these are the first two I grabbed. I grabbed these two first, and then I immediately grabbed my Adept, and then I just kind of like figured out the rest from there because I love them so much. So this video was super fun to film. It was also kind of difficult. I had, let's see, this video planned for a few weeks now, but like, I just wanted to like have these palettes in a basket and just kind of make sure that this was like a curated selection of the palettes that I would actually keep, because I feel like it depends on the day. But no, I spent weeks just kind of staring at these palettes. That's why I don't know if you can see my palettes. They're all kind of crazy out of order because I've had these over here. I just wanted to make sure that this was like genuine and honest and like the top 10 I would keep. So please let me know down below top 5, top 10 palettes in your collection that you just like, you would keep without a doubt. No hesitation. Those would never leave your collection. And I want to know which one surprised you the most that I kept. Or was this a very predictable palette for y'all? So definitely let me know down below. If you are still here, I really do appreciate you so much. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're doing well. I hope that you are healthy, happy, and safe. Stay beautiful. Bye, guys.